Good morning. This is Pulse AI Morning Mix. Today is Tuesday, April 28th, 2026. We're tracking a major reshuffle in OpenAI's cloud strategy, a massive new bet on Anthropic, and a regulatory squeeze stretching from Beijing to Colorado. I've got Orion with me, ready to jump in.
Ready, let's move.
Lead story, BNN Bloomberg reported on April 27th that OpenAI reworked its Microsoft deal, ending exclusivity. What changed?
Microsoft no longer has exclusive access to OpenAI's technology, which means OpenAI can offer its models across rival clouds. Amazon CEO Andy Jassy said OpenAI models will show up on Amazon Web Services in the coming weeks. It's a big shift from a tight partnership to a multi-cloud posture.
So is this mainly about selling to more enterprises or chasing compute?
Both, but compute is the pressure valve. If you can run on multiple clouds, you can negotiate for capacity, pricing, and specialized hardware. And for enterprises, it removes the "you must be on Azure" friction. Think of it like ending streaming exclusives. Suddenly everyone wants the rights.
Does Microsoft lose leverage here, or does it still win?
Microsoft likely keeps plenty: distribution, integrations, and a huge enterprise channel. But it loses the clean differentiation of only on Azure. Now the competition becomes, who can host OpenAI workloads cheapest, fastest, and most reliably, plus who can bundle the best enterprise deal around it.
Staying with the cloud power game, The Street reported on April 26th that Alphabet could invest up to $40 billion in Anthropic at roughly a $350 billion valuation. How should we read that?
It's an escalation in the compute for capital era. The report frames it as securing cash and cloud capacity for Anthropic, especially coming right after Amazon's multi-billion-dollar investment with options for more. The headline is less about the exact valuation and more about locking in access to frontier models and the workloads they attract.
Does this make Anthropic feel more independent or more tied down?
Financially stronger, operationally more entangled. When big tech writes checks this large, it usually comes with infrastructure alignment, cloud commitments, preferred hardware paths, go-to-market coordination. The market's gravity is pulling leading model labs into a few mega-platform orbits.
And for everyone else building models, what's the ripple?
It raises the bar. If 2 or 3 firms can secure enormous guaranteed compute, they can iterate faster and price more aggressively. Smaller labs either specialize, partner early, or risk getting squeezed on both training capacity and distribution.
Now to cross-border deal drama, Reuters reported on April 27th that China ordered Meta to unwind its roughly $2 billion acquisition of an AI startup called Manus. What happened?
China's National Development and Reform Commission said it will prohibit the foreign acquisition and ask the parties to withdraw the transaction, effectively forcing an unwind. Reuters ties it to tighter reviews of investments involving frontier technologies. It's a reminder that AI mergers can trigger not just competition reviews, but national-level strategic scrutiny.
Is this about data, talent, or just geopolitics? Pick your poison.
All of the above. Frontier AI assets can mean sensitive datasets, high-end research teams, and potential dual-use capabilities. For regulators, that's a national interest question, not just a consumer pricing question.
What does this do to big tech acquisition playbooks?
It pushes deals toward minority stakes, joint ventures, or asset-light partnerships, anything that avoids a clean control transaction. And it makes companies plan for unwind risk as a real line item, not a theoretical one.
On U.S. policy, the HR Digest reported on April 27th that the Department of Justice joined xAI's lawsuit challenging Colorado's AI law focused on hiring. What's the core dispute?
The Justice Department is arguing Colorado's rules are unconstitutional or preempted by federal policy, siding with xAI's challenge. The fight is over whether a state can set strict requirements around automated hiring tools, especially if it conflicts with federal authority, or creates a patchwork employers can't realistically follow.
What should listeners watch for as this heads to court?
2 things: whether the court signals limits on state-by-state AI rules, and how it treats algorithmic hiring as a regulated activity. If DOJ's position holds, it could chill other states from going big on workforce AI rules without federal alignment.
Does this slow adoption of AI in recruiting, or just change how it's deployed?
More the second. Companies will still use AI, but they'll shift toward tools with auditable decision trails, clearer bias testing, and more human-in-the-loop checkpoints, because legal exposure is increasingly part of the product requirements.
Also in Colorado, Nat Law Review wrote on April 27th that officials are moving to rewrite the Colorado Artificial Intelligence Act as the June 30th effective date approaches. What's changing?
The push is to replace parts of the original broad framework with a more streamlined regime. The reporting points to concerns since the law's 2024 passage: scope, implementation burden, and alignment with federal policy. In plain terms, they're trying to make it more workable before it actually bites.
Is this a climb down or just refinement?
More like triage. Once companies start mapping compliance, they surface all the messy edge cases. Lawmakers then decide what they truly want to regulate: high-impact uses, clear accountability, and enforceable standards, without accidentally regulating half the software stack.
And nationally, does Colorado still set the tone?
Yes, because it's an early mover. Even a rewrite sends a signal. States want rules, but they don't want chaos. Other states will watch what survives, what gets softened, and how business groups and civil society react.
Let's whip through a few that shape the backdrop: money, power, and regulation. What caught your eye?
On April 28th, Bloomberg flagged projected big tech AI capital spending of about $674 billion. Google at 175 to 185, Microsoft 140, Meta 115 to 135, and Amazon over 200. That CapEx guidance ripples straight into memory demand, especially HBM and server DRAM.
And if you're wondering where all that compute plugs in, there was a good read on power too.
Yes, the New York Times on April 26th explored bragawatts, where firms tout enormous energy and data center plans with limited evidence. It highlights a real constraint: permitting, grid capacity, and who can actually secure power. In AI, sometimes the bottleneck is not chips, it's electrons.
Meanwhile, the funding spigot hasn't exactly slowed down.
Tech startups reported April 27th that Ineffable Intelligence, founded by David Silver, raised a $1.1 billion seed round at a $5.1 billion valuation to build a superlearner AI. And the European Innovation Council, also April 27th, put 8 firms forward for step scale-up equity, 10 to 30 million euros each, pending diligence.
One more on the U.S. state law front. Illinois is in the mix.
Right. SEIA, the Software and Information Industry Association, said on April 27th that Illinois frontier model safety bills should align with federal standards to avoid fragmented state rules. The subtext is clear. Companies want one rulebook, not 50 slightly different ones.
That's XPulse AI Morning Mix from XPulse for Tuesday, April 28th, 2026. If this helped you calibrate your day, share it with a colleague who lives in their inbox. See you next time.